place in Alexandria, you're going to see that in the background more than you think.
Sure,
So here's a scene in particular where Negan's working in the garden, and you can just see it there in the background. And I would have never put two and two together, and now I can't unsee it. Can't unsee it. It's in the background all the time. It sits right beside the windmill. So it's kind of cool that they brought it up here and put it on display instead of just storing it over at the studio right down the street. Yeah. And they did the same thing with the back gates, and I'll show you those in just a second here.
What's that?
That's just a little stage that they use for festivals and stuff. It kind of looks like a set piece, doesn't it?
Yeah, right.
It
What
looks
is the
like
farmer's
something.
market right here?
Do what now?
The farmer's market was just right here?
No, it still is. It actually was going this morning. Today was the opening day. And it's on the interior. Yeah, they have the farmer's market on the interior. Sometimes they set up stuff on the outside as well. Yeah, earlier today, about from 8:30, I think, it might be 9, but from about 8:30 until 1 or 2 o'clock, I couldn't even pull in here today. It was packed. Nobody was able to get pictures in front of the memory wall because they just had people everywhere. The farmer's market around here is a big deal.
Yeah,
I think it was the first
especially
one,
the first
too.
one. Yeah.
The season, yeah.
So
Yeah.
are you still going pretty good and steady on tours now that like a lot of the stuff is gone?
Yeah, I mean, actually, you know, our own season's during the summer.
Okay.
That's our really big season. And I've actually kind of seen a spike in tours. Yeah, and I think
That's cool.
And a lot of people, it's their first trip here. You know what I mean?
I've never been here.
I feel like a lot of people, you know, the show ended and they're wanting to come see these things while they still look the way they do before everything gets changed. You know what I mean?
That, and I think the most current season is now on Netflix, so a lot of people are binging it and starting it. And
I kind of started it over once we realized we were coming here.
Right.
I'm like, I'm gonna start over. I only made it to like season 4 before the day came, but yeah. So is there what about the jail scene? Was there an actual jail around here that they used?
The prison, I'll tell you all about that in just a second. Yeah. So here's that little plaque that they put up that says the grain silo from the safe zone. Now the front side of the building, not really any substantial scenes were shot here on the front side.
Okay.
But it would show characters kind of walking in front when they were going to and from Alexandria. Like, for example, you've got this scene here where you've got Carl, Enid, and one of the Kingdomers, and they're on their way to Alexandria to help when the Saviors attack.
Oh, yeah.
And they kind of just walked right in front of the building. So it did establish that this side was right outside of Alexandria. So you got Woodbury, Georgia on that side, Alexandria, Virginia right here. On the interior that you can't see right now, but on the inside, they used it for season 11. Is everybody caught up?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So season 11, whenever they get to the Commonwealth, a little bit after they've been there for a little while, the Commonwealth gives King Ezekiel a veterinary. Sorry, y'all. Remember that?
Yeah.
And then he's treating people kind of like a backdoor doctor's office, the people that couldn't get treated. The interior was that veterinary clinic. Yeah, so that's 3 different spots already that they used right here in this one little building.
So how many years were they here?
What was it, 12 in all?
12 years.
I believe it was 12 in all.
Would they continually film season after season after season, or would there be breaks where all the actors and everybody would be gone?
There would be breaks.
Okay.
So the normal filming schedule used to be from about April until November.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was a good chunk of the year.
Yeah, hell yeah.
But after COVID, they started going for the full year pretty much. Yeah, after COVID to play a little catch up, you know. But before that, yeah, it was usually.
oh my gosh, what?
Are you live?
Yeah.
Trying
Trying to be live.
Oh, that's why it's on an angle.
Yeah, so this is
So we
where
were on YouTube watching videos, and
did you see one of mine?
Yeah, we watched. That's why I'm like, I know what he's gonna look like. But we saw a piece of an angled door,
Because we're live.
and then there was pictures when the wall was still up, and
Yeah.
people were taking pictures. I'm like, well, this picture looks like it's on an angle, but you like couldn't see that it wasn't.
Right, so
Gotcha.
this was the back gates of Alexandria. This wasn't the main gates that you think of most of the time. You see these gates maybe 4 times throughout the seasons. The main gates are the ones where you see Negan doing the little pig. When the gang first comes into Alexandria,
Yeah.
all the pivotal scenes. These gates stood at the back of Alexandria, and I'm going to show you where those stood. Now, I really like that they put these up because it shows how big that wall really was in real life, how tall it was. When that was erected around the neighborhood, you couldn't see anything but the tops of the houses for 8 years straight, and they didn't allow people inside there.
No.
So that's all you could see for 8 years straight. It's kind of funny to all of us when we see it down there.
Right.
It's got like a
How long
wall.
it take them to build it and put it all up?
I would say I was here when they actually did it. It was only a few months. Yeah, and it took about a few months to take the walls back down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, does anybody want pictures in front of these?
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let them go first. Go.
However y'all want to do it. Okay. Uh-oh. You're like me.
Si quieren foto?
All right.
No? Oh, okay.
3. And we'll get it closer. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you.
So I'll show you where these stood once we get to Alexandria. It used to have a little sign on it that said "Welcome to Alexandria," and then when the Commonwealth came, of course, they put their stamp on it.
Yeah.
Now, the other side of the building looked totally different than the sides that we've already seen.
Oh yeah.
And if you didn't know there was a building on the other side, it would kind of just look like a rock wall out in the middle of nowhere. Let me pull up a little bit so you can see it there in the back. And this side of the building was featured in the episode JSS. Does anybody remember what JSS stood for? Just Survive Somehow. That was Enid. Remember Enid? That was her backstory. It told her journey until when she met Rick in the group. So the episode opened up right here at this rock wall. That's her parents parked right there in the white SUV to be right here at the end. And when you saw it on the show, it kind of looked like a stone wall out in the middle of nowhere. Walkers came from each side of the wall, and that's when she lost her parents. And she had to go eat the turtle and do all that crazy stuff. Little did she know she could just walk right across the railroad tracks there and be right in Alexandria.
Yeah, right.
Instead of taking the long way around.
Unnecessary. I like turtles.
I would assume that anybody that lives in this town is totally acceptable and
Accustomed to the whole.
it's
And that's one of the appeals of this town to production companies. Everybody's so used to the filming process. This has become the new Hollywood of the South, pretty much.
So did all the actors and all that live in the homes in Alexandria, or they have hotels, or?
Some of them bought houses in the area.
Okay.
Some of them would have hotels. It depends on how high of a caliber, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, for sure.
And a lot of the actors were local. For example, King Ezekiel, Kyrie Payton, who plays King Ezekiel, he's local to Atlanta.
Okay.
Josh McDermott, who plays Eugene, he now lives in Atlanta as well.
Okay.
So a lot of them bought houses in this area too.
Sure.
While they were filming. I don't know if they still own those
Yeah.
houses or not, but they bought houses while they were filming. And then some of them, only one actor that I know of stayed in Alexandria for a little while. So Jeffrey Dean Morgan and his family lived in the house that was Rick's house while they were here filming. Because his wife played his wife on the show. So while they were here filming his real life wife played his wife on the show as well, Lucille.
Yeah.
And while they were here filming, they stayed in the Gin property in Alexandria in the house that was Rick's house.
Cool.
Yeah, and his son, Gus, he played a walker. He played a walker on
Okay.
the show too.
Very
So So they stayed in that house during that time frame, but that's the only one that I know of that stayed in Alexandria.
So were there a lot of locals that were walkers?
There was.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially just from the metro area, but a lot of locals to Senoia were walkers too. And the good thing is they reuse a lot of the walkers. So they give them steady work, you know what I mean? Now, I was saying this is kind of Hollywood of the South, and the town has made several changes to itself to make it more film friendly. Like, for example, this building right here. You see how it's the metal warehouse?
Mm-hmm.
And then it turns into a building?
Yeah.
That's just a facade.
You can tell if you really look at like the window frames, they're
Right.
bowing out.
Yeah, and it goes all the way around on Main Street because they didn't like this warehouse sticking out like a sore thumb amongst this quaint little historical town.
Okay.
So once we go forward, you can see the metal wall through the ones up top
Oh
there.
yeah.
Now the ones on the bottom have been a little bit better maintained, but there is just a metal wall on the other side of those windows there.
Would have never noticed.
So then this intersection was Woodbury, right?
You're exactly
Yeah,
right.
that's what I thought.
So this was one of the main parts of Woodbury, right here.
This is where the buses were, right? The buses were kind of backed up as the temporary urban gate, right?
Those would have been on the other side. What would have been right here, right in front of that crosswalk that the car's about to go over, right in front of that crosswalk, you would have had the main walls and the main gate. So you can see the building behind us. Well, that's the thing. There weren't many businesses back then. But they stayed open. They stayed open because on the back alleys of these roads here, the businesses have entrances that don't just go to the back area of the building. It goes into the business.
Okay.
So they stayed open. They did that for a reason, because of the filming.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So when you're watching the Woodbury scenes, if you go back and watch them now, you'll notice a lot of the businesses, a lot of the buildings have something in the window obscuring view, but it looks apocalyptic, like it'll be newspapers or garbage bags or cardboard or wood, something to block view. And that way people don't see spoilers that are shopping, but it also serves another purpose. You don't want to be watching a show about the zombie apocalypse and see somebody shopping
Right.
in one of the shops. You don't want to see inside of there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they didn't have to worry about it too much. Now, and that these back roads, they serve a lot of purposes too, because when they were having to block off this road, it was easy to get around.
Mm-hmm.
But there wasn't much going on back then. around
Gotcha.
here. The town didn't have much to it.
So how long was that tire wall up here?
Well, it was real easy for them to pull it in and out.
Okay.
So this was actually on flatbed trailers.
Okay.
And they put that fencing in front of it. So when they had to move them, they just pulled them out.
pulled it out. Okay.
And there was a vacant lot right up there, and they would pull them up there and just park them.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Now, once we go forward, and you're going to notice too, those buildings with the balconies
Yeah.
across the street, those are fairly new buildings, but they have to be built. Now, if you build something in town now, it has to be built to look like it could fit in with the aesthetic of the town.
Gotcha.
So they look like they could fit in with the historical aspect.
Yeah, for sure.
Are the guts of the humans actually like work in like sauce?
Yeah, most time it was food. They used food. They used barbecue a lot. Yeah.
That's delicious.
Yeah. You weren't supposed to eat it, but some of the walkers did eat it. I don't think I would have, because there would have been no telling how long it had been sitting out. You know what I mean? Like, for example, in the first season when the walkers were eating Rick's horse, remember that?
Yeah.
A bunch of the walkers really went the extra mile and actually ate.
Really?
Now, going up the hill here, that's going to be your main strip of Woodbury, and I'm going to tell you more about it toward the end of the tour. We're going to come back up through here.
Okay.
But this is the most filmed spot, going up the hill right here.
Mm-hmm.
When I go forward, if you look up and to the left, when you start seeing the water tower, that's your quintessential shot of
the money
Woodbury.
shot.
Yeah, that's That's what a lot of people call the establishing shot. So they show that angle of the town a lot to let you know, hey, we're going to be filming in Woodbury now. But this has not only been Woodbury. The buildings with the balconies that I was talking about earlier, I'm going to touch on this later again. But those buildings, they used them in season 11 as Commonwealth apartments. They just didn't show the buildings around them, so you wouldn't be able to put together that they were filming right here and where they filmed Woodbury.
Okay.
Because those buildings weren't here back then. Now here we're going to go forward a little bit, and if you look off and to the left, and like I said, once you start seeing the water tower,
Oh yeah.
that's the shot of Woodbury that you see the most in the show. So you were talking about the prison.
Yeah.
The prison, that was all just a big set piece. It wasn't real. They built a fake prison at the studio. So they just built a fake one over there, and they shot all the scenes there. And they were so convincing that a lot of people thought that it was a real prison. And the story that I've always been told is that when those episodes were airing on TV, a lot of people were calling the Georgia Department of Corrections wanting to know where the prison was. I'm trying to get over here, but they wanted to know where the prison was close to Senoia. Well, they didn't have any record of a prison in this area. So I heard that they sent out a team, and they went out to the studio, and even they were impressed with the set pieces that they had built. Now these buildings here on the corner, they were put up about the same time as those over there, so they're fairly new as well. But once again, you can kind of see how they could fit in with the rest of the town. Yeah, they look like they could be just as old as the rest of the town. Now, right up here, this is one of my favorite spots in town. It's got some of the best film history, if you ask me. So I'm going to pull off to the side. And if you guys want to hop off, you'll be able to see the bridge a little bit better. But first, I'm going to talk about this big blue house right here.
Sorry.
Yeah. So,
Bye, guys.
yeah, if y'all want to hop off, you'll be able to
Hope
see
y'all
it a little bit better,
enjoyed
too.
a
This
little
house,
tidbit
I
of
get
our
mixed
tour.
reactions from this.
Come take one.
A lot of
if you
people think
wanna.
that I'm going to tell Mrs. Herschel's farmhouse.